Welcome to This Explainer. We're going to dive right in today because we need to shatter a pretty massive myth. For the longest time, we all kind of just accepted that as we get older, cognitive decline is this natural, totally unavoidable part of life. We thought our brains were static and, well, whatever hand we were dealt, we just had to play it. But modern neuroscience has completely debunked this. Today, we're going to walk through 10 scientifically proven, entirely natural ways to actually speed up your brain and upgrade its capacity. Absolutely zero medication required.
So let me ask you something directly. Is your brain rusting? Do you find yourself struggling to remember a simple name, getting frustrated a bit too easily, or just completely losing your focus the second you try to read or study? A lot of us shrug this off. We say, oh, I'm just getting older, or I'm just tired. But what if I told you your brain isn't permanently stuck in this rusty state?
The foundational science behind why we can actually fix this is called neuroplasticity. The research proves that our brains are incredibly malleable. Honestly, it's more like clay than concrete. We can physically adapt, shape, and forge brand new neural pathways at absolutely any age. You are literally not stuck with the brain you have right now. You can intentionally upgrade it. To make this super actionable, we're going to break this down into 4 clear parts today. Fueling your brain correctly, maintenance through movement and deep rest, rewiring your neural pathways, and finally, taking back your focus. Let's start with part 1, fueling your brain correctly. Look, what we put into our bodies directly dictates the speed and the clarity of our minds. 75%, that's the amount of your brain that is made up of water. I want you to think of it almost like a water-filled balloon inside your skull. If that balloon loses even a tiny drop of water, it physically starts to shrink. Research shows that if your body's hydration level drops by just 2%, your focus, your memory, and your decision-making abilities instantly plummet. That constant brain fog, the afternoon sluggishness, or those random headaches, a lot of the time it's literally just dehydration. The science strongly recommends chugging a full glass of water the second you wake up to replace what you lost just by breathing overnight. You've got to top up the tank before you sit down to work.
And think about how you feel after a massive, heavy, high-carb meal. You get sleepy and lazy, right? That happens because your body has to redirect blood flow straight to your stomach just to digest all that heavy food, which literally drops the oxygen levels going up to your brain. Now compare that to intermittent fasting, which is hugely popular right now with top tech executives. Fasting for about 16 hours, save from dinner until lunch the next day, forces your body to stop burning sugar and start burning fat. This creates something called ketones. Ketones are basically superfuel for your brain. Think about it evolutionarily. When early humans were hungry, their brains had to become hyper-alert so they could find food. By keeping your stomach just a little bit empty, your brain stays locked in that razor-sharp state of alertness.
Moving right along to part 2, maintenance, focusing on movement and deep rest.
This phase is all about how keeping the machine moving and letting it rest are the ultimate maintenance protocols. Listen, if you say you don't have time to exercise, you're effectively saying you don't have time to improve your brain. Humans evolved to move. When you sit in a chair all day, your brain literally thinks it's time to sleep, so it slows down. But when you sweat or run for just 20 minutes, your brain releases a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Neuroscientists actually call this miracle grow for the brain. It acts like fertilizer, sparking the growth of brand new cells in your hippocampus, which is your brain's memory center. So if you want to learn a new skill and actually remember it, go for a quick jog first to fertilize your brain, and then sit down to study. Now let's look at how that ties into our rest cycle. A lot of high achievers think sleep is a waste of time. It is absolutely not. While you're sleeping, your brain is doing the heavy lifting. All day long, as your brain works, these toxic byproducts build up between your cells. If they aren't cleared out, those toxins actually contribute to diseases like Alzheimer's. But here's the magic. When you enter deep sleep, a literal night shift cleaning crew called the glymphatic system clocks in. Your brain cells actually shrink down slightly, allowing cerebral spinal fluid to rush in and wash all of yesterday's toxins away. If you're not getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you're cutting that cleaning process short. It is no wonder you wake up cranky and foggy. Your brain is still full of yesterday's garbage. And believe it or not, optimizing that deep sleep actually starts the exact moment you wake up. If the very first thing you do in the morning is grab your phone, you are setting your brain up for failure. We all have this internal clock called the circadian rhythm. To set this clock perfectly, you need to step outside and get direct sunlight in your eyes for about 10 minutes every single morning. And no, indoor room lights do not count. This natural morning sunlight triggers serotonin production, which gives you awesome daytime energy and a great mood. But even more importantly, this light exposure is exactly what your brain uses to time the release of melatonin, the sleep hormone, for later that night. It guarantees you get that deep, toxin-clearing rest we just talked about. All right, part 3,
rewiring your neural pathways. This is where we actively construct new roads inside your mind. We all know we have to go to the gym to build physical muscle, but how do you build brain muscle? Well, you use a practice called neurobics. You don't need to lift weights with your head, you just need to break your comfortable routines. If you're right-handed, you do pretty much everything on autopilot. Brushing your teeth, unlocking a door, pouring coffee, your brain doesn't have to work at all. But if you switch to your non-dominant hand tomorrow morning to brush your teeth, you force your brain completely out of autopilot. It feels incredibly awkward, right? But that discomfort means your brain is actively forging brand new neural pathways, brilliantly increasing the connection between your left and right hemispheres.
Building on that idea, the ultimate secret to keeping your mind young is continuous novelty. If you only ever do what you're already good at, your brain gets lazy. It's that simple. To speed it up, you have to challenge it. Try learning a new language, picking up a musical instrument, or even mastering a really complex new board game. These activities force your brain to generate entirely new connections. The more curveballs you throw at it, the faster and sharper your brain becomes.
Which brings us to a fascinating technique used by some of the greatest minds in history. Just consider this quote from Nikola Tesla. He would completely visualize and run a machine entirely in his mind before ever physically building it, just to find the flaws. And modern science backs this up 100%. Your brain actually cannot tell the difference between you physically doing an action and you intensely imagining yourself doing it. This is exactly why Olympic athletes spend hours visualizing their races before their feet ever touch the track. If you have a huge presentation or a complex task coming up, close your eyes and visualize it like a movie. You are literally strengthening the exact same neural circuits you're going to use for the real thing.
And finally, part 4, taking back your focus.
So, how do we actually defeat the modern villains that are destroying our attention spans? Look, meditation isn't just a spiritual practice anymore. It is currently recognized as one of the most hardcore cognitive exercises on the planet. Today, our attention is constantly fractured by multitasking. We're looking at our phones while watching TV while eating dinner. But taking just 10 minutes a day to sit in pure silence and focus solely on your breath acts like a laser beam for a scattered mind. Harvard research has proven that just 8 weeks of this practice physically thickens your prefrontal cortex. That's the area of your brain directly responsible for focus, memory, and making good decisions. Let's be honest for a second. Why is it so incredibly hard for us to just sit and read a book or study or just focus on a single task for 5 straight minutes without instinctively reaching for a distraction? The answer is dopamine addiction. Every single time you endlessly scroll through your social feeds, your brain is getting these tiny digital micro-hits of a pleasure hormone called dopamine. You are constantly overstimulating yourself. Because of this hijacked reliance on instant gratification, when you sit down to do a normal, slightly difficult task like reading a textbook, your brain absolutely hates it. It feels agonizingly boring because there's no instant dopamine spike. The scientific fix for this, a digital detox. Put your phone and screens away for just 1 hour a day. Literally, let yourself be bored. It is in that boredom that your brain resets and your natural creativity and laser focus can finally start to return. Okay, we have covered 10 incredible science-backed protocols to upgrade your brain today. But I want to empower you here, not overwhelm you. The goal is absolutely not to wake up tomorrow and try to do all 10 of these things at once. If you try that, you're going to burn out by noon. The true magic of neuroplasticity is that it responds to small, consistent changes. Your mission is to pick just one tiny habit from this explainer. Maybe start drinking a glass of water right when you wake up, or start brushing your teeth with your left hand. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Which single habit are you going to choose today to rewire your brain for tomorrow? You have the tools now, and you know the science. Your brain isn't rusting, it is just waiting for you to upgrade it. Choose your habit, take action, and I'll see you in the next one.